You're tuned in to the Daily BS.
Do you believe it?
Sports and culture combined into one.
Michael on the drive across the lane. Turnaround shot. Got it. 63 for Jordan. Are you kidding me? He did what?
The Daily BS begins.
Bazinga.
Right now.
Great. Googly moogly.
Hadouken!
Hey, this promises to be fun.
Can't wait.
Hello, 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 and welcome to the Tuesday edition of the Daily BS. Glad you are with me on all of our networks, including Arena Sportsnet, including Full Press Coverage and RTFSportsNetwork.com, and all of our radio affiliates for this wonderful show, this wonderful daily show. I am Brian Snow, and thank you for joining me. And on this edition, we got a lot to get to. Damian Adams will join me to talk old school NBA All-Star Game and the trip and offer his tribute to Kobe. Steve Willis will join me to talk about his Chiefs winning the Super Bowl and why it would not be a surprise if these two teams go at it again a couple of times over. You'll hear a great conversation I had with Renee Washington, and in its entirety, you'll hear a conversation I had to have with Courtney Harden from 2016 with the NBA All-Star Game coming up. We offered our thoughts on why it is not the same anymore. So I have to be nice to a Chiefs fan and actually tell him congratulations. No, I'm kidding as I say that. The Chiefs did a wonderful job in winning the Super Bowl, and one of my favorite guys, he hosted the Cheap Seats with Steve and Steve. He now has the WD60 Sports Talk Show, and like I said, this is one of my favorite guys to talk sports with. This is Steve Willis, and he joins me right now. How are you, my friend, and congratulations.
Hey, Brian. Glad to be here. Hey, still kind of shell-shocked, still kind of letting it sink in a little bit. But hey, the Chiefs are world champions. I have not been able to say that in my lifetime, so that is huge for me because I am almost 44 years old. So last time they did this, I was -6. So this is huge.
Well, the Chiefs did do it. Patrick Mahomes wins the most valuable player. Well deserved. You got to take off your hat for both teams because this has been the best Super Bowl we've seen in a while.
Absolutely. By far, the most evenly matched going into this game. You had on one side Jimmy Garoppolo, who's no slouch as far as throwing the ball. Patrick Mahomes, obviously last year's MVP and arguably the best quarterback in the league right now. A rushing game with Mostert, Samuel, Coleman on one side, Damian Williams on the other, and then wide receivers all over the place. Obviously, the Chiefs have the faster wide receivers, but my gosh, still with Samuel, Juszczyk, Emmanuel Sanders, and obviously George Kittle, we can't forget about him.
No.
It was very evenly matched. And the defense, of course, the Chiefs' defense has been great as of late, and a lot of people wondered exactly what they were going to do against a running scheme that really moves around a lot and forces you to play really good assignment football. And apparently, Kansas City's defense answered the call. I mean, you had guys like Frank Clark and Stone Cold Jones. Of course, Terrell Suggs got in there a little bit. They were able to hold the San Francisco run game to right about the 100-yard mark, and that really is that's saying something, considering what San Francisco was able to do to the Minnesota Vikings and, of course, the Green Bay Packers. So that really said a lot as far as what defense wanted to do. And you can see KC came in literally selling out to stop the run. And they came in with the attitude of, we are going to force Jimmy Garoppolo to beat you. Now, that Jimmy Garoppolo did an excellent job for 3 quarters. The offense did a fantastic job of finding ways to move the ball for 3 quarters on the field, at least keep it out of Kansas City's hands for 3 quarters, and that played well. And then all of a sudden, quarter came along and things changed.
Yes.
And I can tell you the moment everything changed in this game, there were two actually. It was right after the 49ers scored their touchdown in the quarter, and they panned the camera to Tyrann Mathieu, and you could see him marching the sideline, just absolutely eviscerating everybody in his path. That moment, I think, is what changed the defense, because if you notice, after they came out, they did not allow another score after that, and not only that, they forced 2 3-and-outs. So that, I think, was,
and until the fourth
and they
quarter,
also forced a turnover.
Yeah, and until the fourth quarter, they hadn't forced a 3-and-out the entire game. In fact, Mitch Wishnowsky, the 49ers punter, hadn't punted until the fourth quarter.
Exactly. And so I think that was the turning point for the defense.
Indeed,
the turning point for the Kansas City offense was the Tyreek Hill 44-yard catch. That was in the fourth quarter, 9 minutes ago. Patrick Mahomes needed a little Patrick Mahomes magic, and he got it with that deep pass to Tyreek Hill. And that, I think, rolling at that point, it was almost like watching a fighter that's been struggling through 12 rounds all of a sudden get that one maker that he's been trying to get all fight.
Yep.
And he finally got the champ with that maker, and you saw the champ just kind of take a half a step back and reel a little bit and go, whoa, wait a second. That was for real.
Yes.
And that I think was the moment that the Chiefs said, hey, we could do this. I think this is, I mean, I feel like they had confidence the entire time, but I feel like that was that moment when they said, look, defense, there is a crack in the seam right there, and we're going to focus on pushing the offense from there. Now, notably, the 49ers controlled 3/4 of this game. The only problem is they couldn't control that final quarter, and they allowed the Chiefs to get back in. And then from there, the Chiefs' offense just took over.
And you know what? It was a fantastic game. The Chiefs took over in that fourth quarter, the final 6 minutes. But I give the Chiefs a lot of kudos for this. 3 playoff games, including the Super Bowl, 3 minus 10-point deficits, 3 comeback wins. That's the magic of Mahomes. That's the defense coming together. That's the entire team. And you mentioned the biggest play of the game, that 44-yard completion, which came on a 3rd and 15 from Mahomes to Tyreek Hill. It set up their first of 3 touchdowns within 6 minutes. And you know the scary part about this Kansas City team? It's the same scary part about the 49ers team. These teams are young. This could be the first of multiple times these two will meet in the Super Bowl. In fact, I had a couple friends say to me after the game, you know, Kansas City got this one, the 49ers make it the next one in Tampa. And you know something, Stevie? I wouldn't be surprised if these two hook up again multiple times within the next 5 years.
Yeah, I would not in the least. And there were a few things that I think, if you know, obviously you can break a game down anyway. There are a few things that I think the 49ers could have done to salt this thing away a lot earlier, just didn't.
Yeah.
And obviously the one thing that I'm going to see is being down is that last minute and 45 in the first half.
When
yes. Francisco chose. Yeah, when they chose not to burn any of their timeouts and run the clock down. After the game, Kyle Shanahan was in an interview, and he explained that by saying, look, the Chiefs had 3 timeouts as well. The last thing we wanted to do is give them the ball back with Patrick Mahomes and that offense. And that, to me, sounds exactly like we were playing not to lose.
Yeah.
Well, I got news for you. If you're playing not to lose, you're going to get beat, especially when the stakes are this. Now, you did say something about the Chiefs and their resilience, the down 10-plus points 3 different times this playoffs. I do want to, first of all, That's the first time that's ever happened in the history of the league. No
Yep.
team has ever been able to do that.
Yep.
So there is a brand new thing. Secondly, going back to the before the AFC Championship game, I actually put on Twitter after watching the game against the Houston Texans. I said the Kansas Chiefs, I believe, now have the one thing that every Super Bowl worthy team needs, and that is composure.
Yes.
And that is the one thing that you saw in all three of these games.
Mm-hmm.
They got down by 24 points against Houston, retained their composure. They got down 10 points early to the Titans. They retained their composure. They were in a battle back and forth with the 49ers, and at halftime, with both teams playing, pretty conservative, we get into the quarter, and the 49ers just dominate the Chiefs defensively. Third quarter, 2 interceptions by Patrick Mahomes, and what do? Their composure.
Yes.
It is the thing that you don't expect to see from a team this young, being led by a player young. However, they still did it. Credit to Andy Reid, credit to all the coaches, credit to the players, the captains on that team, Tyrann Mathieu, Frank Clark, Patrick Mahomes. These guys were capable of settling everybody down. Look, it's okay. We do what we do. We play our game. We're going to get things. We did it in 3 straight games in the playoffs, and by and large, is the most remarkable thing I've seen about this team in the postseason.
Steve Willis from the WD60 Sports Report joining me here, talking all things Super Bowl 54, and a sentence he has longed to hear in the immortal words of one Joe Buck: the Kansas City Chiefs are the world champions for the first time since 1969. This is not going to set in until we start talking football next year. Hell, so we start talking off season, all that stuff. But you know something? Your team did it. My team got there. I will venture to say, and I'll put this out on a limb, we'll see y'all in Tampa next February.
I would not be the least surprised. And the one thing I think that should scare the rest of the league is the 49ers don't have a lot of contracts to work on in the offseason, so they're going to bring a lot of people. And the Kansas City Chiefs, even though they have a big contract to sign Patrick Mahomes, we've already heard from Sammy Watkins, he'll take less money to stay a Chief.
Yep.
We've already heard Tyrann Mathieu, Frank Clark, Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and Damian Adams all say in public, we want to retire Kansas City.
Yep.
That should scare the life out of just about anybody in the AFC. Oh, my God, that core group wants to stay there. Travis Kelce, too.
Yeah. Don't forget Travis Kelce. Don't forget Travis Kelce. I love Travis Kelce.
You can't forget Zeus, man. That guy is just remarkable.
Listen, you got Zeus, we got Kittle. The 2 best tight ends met last Sunday night, I beg your pardon, in the Super Bowl. And you know something? I'll say it again. We'll see y'all in Tampa. I know I'm putting it out there, and I shouldn't be putting it out there, but with this young team and that young team they have in Kansas City, we'll see y'all in Tampa. Let's do it again.
Great chance of that happening. Absolutely great.
Steve Willis of the WD60 Sports Report joining me here on the program. Thanks a lot, my friend. Appreciate the time, and I'll say it one more time. See y'all next February in Tampa.
All right, I greatly appreciate it, man. Make sure if you don't mind, a little shameless plug here.
Go ahead. Go for it.
Find me on Twitter. My handle is the Willis 76. Find me on Twitter, and of course you can check out the show everywhere that podcasts are available: Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, you name it, we're on there. WD60, just search WD60. You can ask Alexa to play it and on Spotify, and she'll find it for you. Just anywhere you want to listen.
It's a fabulous podcast, folks. I recommend it. I truly recommend it. Thank you, partner. Appreciate the time. I love you. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks a lot, buddy. See ya.
Man, the Kansas City Chiefs are the world champions. No denying that. And I wouldn't be surprised if the 49ers and Chiefs met down in Tampa to do it all again. We got more in a flash. Time for Transition Tuesday here on the program, and you know I can't do this by myself, so I got Russ Williams with me. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Happy to talk to you again, Snowman. There's another Tuesday, and that makes time for our Transition Tuesday segment. Love it.
Yes, indeed it is. You can catch him every Tuesday night for a full show of Transition Tuesday. I had the chance to be on it, and for the better part, bragged about my beautiful wife, who's also one of my executive producers of the program. So your subject this week had me salivating, because there's a phrase that says you can go from being the hunter to being the hunted. And when you threw this at me, I was licking my chops for this. Let's go. What you got for me?
Absolutely, Snowman. Well, there's some game plan steps, or as I like to coin the phrase, GPSs, that you have to take when you're transitioning to being the hunted. The first GPS is, and I'll start by this, Snowman. Snowman, are you a hip-hop fan at all?
I am.
All right. Now, I don't know if you remember, this group came out 25 years ago called the Wu-Tang Clan.
Oh, I remember them quite well.
And they had a pop. You remember them quite well? Well, they had a great song that gives us our first GPS. And that first GPS that they had, but the song that they had was called Protect Your Neck.
Yes.
So you have to protect your neck. That's right. You got to protect your neck when you're transitioning to being the hunted.
Absolutely.
And what I mean by that is you have to protect your neck at all times. You have to protect your neck at all times, because when you're the hunted, people are coming for your neck. They're coming for you. And the great thing about that title, Protect Your Neck, there was a hip hop scholar who was part of the group, Raekwon the Chef.
Yes.
He had a great phrase, and he said, half of us will try to make it, the other half will try to take it.
Yes.
So just like I'm saying here with the Protect Your Neck, it's very important, because you earn the right to be hunted. People earn the right to be hunted through their hard work and dedication at their craft. So you have to protect your neck at all costs. So that is the first GPS when transitioning to be the hunted. Second GPS is you have to stay humble when you're being the hunted. What I mean by that is, Snowman, is you're going to wear a bullseye on your back. So you have to wear that bullseye on your back with humility and grace. But also, on another hand, you have to really show people why you're the hunted now. And that's because due to your talent. So you really have to really stay humble, and when you're going from being the hunter to the hunted.
What's so huge, and you bring up two very good steps: protect your neck and use the humility. You would think and stay humble. I beg your pardon. You would think they would be on opposite sides of the spectrum, and to the naked eye, they are on opposite sides of the spectrum. But at the same time, they are very much one and the same. And being the hunted, if I'm reading you as correctly as I think I am, transitioning from being the hunter to being the hunted, that involves a lot of confidence too.
It does. It definitely does. Take, for example, the Chiefs. The Chiefs they won the Super Bowl, so they are now going to be the hunted team. So every opponent that they play next year, they're gonna treat that game as like their Super Bowl. They're the hunted. Also, the 49ers, even though they lost the game, they too are going to be the hunted team.
They're the NFC champions. They're the NFC champions.
Absolutely.
They're the NFC West champions.
Yes,
and this is a team that came out of nowhere. And sometime back during the season, I'd liken the 49ers to the Golden State Warriors, coming out of nowhere, snatching a conference title, which no one expected them to get. So the Chiefs and the 49ers are the hunted. They are indeed the hunted.
Absolutely, yeah. They're the hunted. You know, those teams, they're the hunted. They're really going to, people are going to be going for that neck. You got to protect your neck.
Absolutely.
And the Chiefs and the 49ers, you have to protect your neck. I'm looking at the Iowa caucuses that just went down, recently. The Democratic nominees, the person there, whoever comes out of that caucus is now going to be the front runner. So they are going to be the hunted as well. So they too have to protect their necks as well.
Well, with whoever comes out of the Iowa caucuses, not only are they the hunted, they're also the hunter trying to succeed the incumbent that's in office right now.
Absolutely, yes. You make a great point there, Snowman. Absolutely. So you always got to protect your neck. And, we apply this sometimes to sports as we're doing now, politics or what have you, but this could be everyday use for people, people who are just, starting out in jobs, getting that job that they crave. Now they become the hunted. With everybody else trying to get their position in their spot. So I always recommend those two spots, those two GPSs. You got to protect your neck from the jump. And also, you got to stay humble in your process too, as well.
Which one of these two steps do you think is the toughest to maintain?
Well, in my case, I live life with humility. So, for me, in my case, probably protect your neck would be the toughest one for me. Because again, it's all about that's just a mentality that you have to really absorb. Like, really, you have to be confident when you're protecting your neck. When you're protecting your self-worth at all costs, you got to be really confident in doing that. So in my case, I think protect your neck will be the toughest for me because I always try to live with humility all through my life. So, but protecting your neck will probably be the toughest one.
Well, for me, it's a combination of both because, and I go back, I mention my wife all the time on this program. Until I met her, I never knew how to put the entire picture together. And there are some days and there are some stretches of time where I still have difficulty putting the entire picture together. But learning about her and what she's gone through, it's becoming easier each day. It's a combination of both for me. Being the hunted, having the confidence in doing what I do in this program and the other programs that I put together, and also launching Snowman Digital Media, her having her confidence in what she's doing, the confidence is there. Being the hunted is starting to become a reality, and in a good way, and I think I know you as well as I do to say this, in a good way, it also becomes a habit.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so take you, for example, Snowman, because you're climbing up the food chain in the podcast realm, right? So you're really doing that. So now you're going to you are becoming the hunted. People are hearing more about the podcast, everything you do with the podcast. People are coming for that. So you too, Snowman, my man, have to protect your neck.
Yes.
You know that.
Yes, I do. And not just for me and not just for the fans that listen to the show, also for my family. It's so big. It's so big. You know this very well. It's so big, and I'm glad you referenced that song and referenced that particular song, Protect Your Neck. Let me speak to the men about this, and we talk to the men all the time. You got to protect your neck, especially when it comes to your craft, when it comes to your home, and when it comes to your family.
Absolutely. Just like Raekwon the Chef said, half of us will try to make it,
the other half will try to take it.
Absolutely. Hey, Snowman, speaking of that Super Bowl and everything, what do you think about the commercials of the Super Bowl? And more in particular, that Brady, the Tom Brady commercial, which I thought he was trolling people. In the case of, what's he gonna do? And for me, I'm just looking at that commercial, looking at Tom Brady. He is a guy who is going to be hunted as well because he's going to be coveted. He's going to be romanced by other teams if he decides to leave the Patriots. So I want to get your thoughts on that. What were your thoughts on that Tom Brady commercial, him trolling the world? That's what I thought he was doing. You
know what? He trolled the world, but he also, for me, answered a question. He's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere.
Mm.
You know, that's how I think of it. He's been coming out of that tunnel for 20 years. And he's at the end of his contract right now, and the whole social media universe has gone upside down, you know, wondering where he's going to land next. And I've read some articles of where he could land. I mean, he's from California. He idolized Joe Montana for years. He's not going anywhere. He's staying right there in New England. This is Tom Brady we're talking about. Has he lost a step? Certainly. Has he lost a little zip on his arm? Certainly. But you really think he wants to move away from Bill Belichick and start a learning process all over again after what he's had for 20 seasons? I think not.
Well, you know, I look at it kind of a little differently there, Snowman, because I'm looking at it almost like a Kobe Bryant with Shaq sense.
Yeah.
You know, Kobe Bryant, he strived to, you know, get away from out of Shaq's shadow and prove to the world that he can win without Shaq. So I'm thinking these guys are two competitors, Belichick and Brady. And I can see Brady as a competitor, seeing if he can do it on his own, so that way he won't be, you know, left with the stigma of those two winning championships. I think he might be up to the challenge to do that. But again, you know, it's all speculative. You know, we don't really know. But I can see him. I can see him trying to do it, though. I can definitely see him trying to do it and go elsewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll just have to see what happens. We will just have to see what happens.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting to see how that process plays out. Speaking of process, that's the end of this one. This is Transition Tuesday with Russ Williams. Tell everybody where they can find you, my friend.
Absolutely. On Twitter, you can find me at All Will Transition. At Instagram, you can find me at All Will Transitions with an S. And please, your audience out there, please email me at allwilltransitions@gmail.com. Again, I'm available for transitional services in terms of you know, individual instructions and sessions that I provide, and also I'm also for speaking engagements as well. So, you know, just hit me there at allworldtransitions@gmail.com. Would love to talk to you guys, and make sure everybody protects your neck out there.
That's our Transition Tuesday, going from being the hunter to being the hunted. And you'd like to be the hunted because it lets you know you're one of the best at your craft. Thanks a lot, my friend. Appreciate the time.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you.
Folks, we continue on with the program, and I want to welcome back to the show a young man I had on a long time ago. Too damn long. He has been tearing it up in the podcast ranks, and I mean that with all the love in the world. I want y'all to listen for this name as he continues to climb the podcast ranks, the radio show ranks, and I tell you what, I'm so happy to have him back on my show to talk a little hoops with me. He is the host of The Real Deal with Damian Adams, and Damian Adams has joined me. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, man. Like you said, it's been way too long, but I'm super happy to be back on the show with you.
Oh man, I am excited to have you with me. So let's talk. Let's talk NBA, because it's one of our specialties, and you and I we're playful with each other on the internet when we go back and forth on social media. But first of all, let me get your thoughts on one Kobe Bean Bryant.
Man, just such a tragic tragedy. You know, when you think about the fact that we lost 9 people way too soon. Mm-hmm. And, you know, the thoughts go through your mind of, you know, should they have ever gotten on a helicopter? When you hear about how foggy it was, you know, should they have, you know, we knew that it was a way of life for Kobe to take a helicopter because it just made things easier for him.
Yeah.
When it comes to traffic and just being able to move around with somebody who's that famous, not, you know, being on the streets, everybody and things like that. So we get it that was something he did normally, like we do with our cars every day.
Mm-hmm.
but you just wonder if that's the day they should have changed up the routine because of the weather, and could they have changed things? But you can't go back, and so now you just have to take time to not only remember Kobe, but remember Gigi and remember all the victims on this, on that flight. With Kobe, when you think about Kobe, he definitely made a great impact on the world. And if there's one silver lining to this tragedy, it's the fact that you see how many people he affected in such a major way.
And LeBron's speech this past Friday night, I'm sorry to interrupt you. The LeBron speech this past Friday night had me crying, okay? Especially when he spoke from the heart. I absolutely adored that.
Yeah, definitely. It was the tribute as a whole just was so touching. And it was understandable afterwards how it was kind of a weird feeling because you're watching the game and in the arena you could hear a silence.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was some cheering here, some cheering there, but it was an eerie silence. Like people didn't know how to react.
Yeah.
They didn't know, is it okay to move on now? And the thing is, it's okay to move on. You know that you never forget. We're going to have moments where things are going to remind us of Kobe. There's going to be moments where someone does something special where only, Kobe and Michael or LeBron did it. And we're going to remember Kobe again. So we're never going to forget Kobe Bryant. We're never going to forget Gigi. We're not going to forget those other victims on that flight. And that's what the main thing is, to make sure that we keep them in our hearts. And for Kobe, man, when you think of Kobe, for me, I just think of the Mamba mentality. I think of someone who, as he put it, was a talented overachiever. He had the God-given gifts of being 6'6", 6'7", with, great athleticism, but worked as if he was someone like a Matthew Dellavedova. He had that type of work ethic if he was somebody who was, scratching and gnawing to stay in the league. So that's how I remember Kobe, as someone who had the talent of, a Tracy McGrady and Vince Carter and all those guys who worked as if he was the 12th man on the roster.
Yeah, and you'd see it in all of the legends. You see it in all of the guys that shaped this league and made this league what it is now. The international stars, the national stars, all coming together, all offering their thoughts and their prayers for the Bryant family, for the other families, including the Altobelli family that lost their life on that helicopter. And I've said many times on this program, and I know you've heard it, it not only hurts me as a fan, but it particularly hurts me as a parent.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. I don't have kids yet, but the first thing, like when it happened, the first person who contacted me was my dad, right? And he, just wanted to say, I love you, because you never know when those moments will be lost to be able to say, I love you to the next person. We've all lost somebody close to us in not such a horrific way as this, but we've all experienced some type of loss. And this just puts into perspective how life as it's the longest thing you'll do, but it's also something that can end very quickly. So we just have to take every moment and cherish it.
Yeah. Yeah, I say I love you to my wife and my children all the time. The story of my baby girl, Donna. I lost her when she was 2. 2015, I lost my dad in 2007. So, from both ways, it affected me as a fan, as a parent, and as a son. And as you said best, my friend, you have to live your life to the fullest. That's what Kobe did. That's what I'm trying to do. I know that's what you're trying to do, and a fabulous show in the process of doing it. Let's talk some NBA, man. They made some changes to the All-Star game in terms of the scoring, and I don't know if you had a chance to take a look at the changes, but I have. And considering it's in my hometown of Chicago, the All-Star game is, and I know they're doing this to honor Kobe. And rightfully so. But I got to be honest with you, man. I took a look at the rules and I went, what the hell are these?
Yeah, I got a chance to look at the rules. I posted it in the group, the Real Deal with Damian Adams group.
Yes.
From the 3-point conversion. They posted the rules, and I shared it from their page. And yeah, I had the same reaction you did. I was looking over and I was trying to understand exactly what they were trying to do.
You and I have talked sports a long time. You know that look on my face. I saw the rule and I looked at that link that you posted. And folks, check out the 3-point conversion as well. Another fabulous group of sports journalists. What the hell are these rules, man? What the hell are they trying to do?
The only thing I can say that they're trying to do is maybe this is their way of trying to amp up the competition through all 4 quarters.
Yeah.
Because we know normally with the All-Star game, what you get is you'll get the first 2 quarters and a half where they're just kind of jogging back and forth. You'll get some alley-oops.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get some long-distance threes. And then the competition doesn't really go up until the 4th quarter if it's close. And that's when you'll start to get real competition.
And that's a big if. It hasn't been close for a while, but that's a big if.
So with these rules, what they're trying to say is, okay, we're going to have each quarter count as a win or a loss, and maybe that will wrap up the competition. But to me, if you want to honor Kobe, it's up to the players.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can do all the things from an outside perspective, like them wearing 24 and wearing 2 to honor Kobe and Gigi.
Mm-hmm. That's
awesome. But if they want to honor Kobe as far as the play on the court itself, they have to just go out and leave it all on the floor. There's a reason Kobe had 4 All-Star MVPs is because he went out there and really played. So those guys, like, there's certain players who do play, like Giannis. Mm-hmm. Like, some people say Giannis plays too hard in the All-Star game. That's something that Kobe would love. So you have him, LeBron plays hard. Those guys are going to bring it, and I think that's the normal way you should honor them.
Kobe, MJ, LeBron, Julius Erving back in the day for me when I got started watching, Magic Johnson. You want to honor Kobe? Play that way.
Yeah. Nah, I definitely agree with that. Like, if they just went out there and said, okay, we're going to play for real, then that's the thing. You're still going to get the highlights because of the best players in the world. So you're going to have moments where you get a steal, you get a fast break, and you'll still get to have those moments where you throw the ball at the backboard and some crazy athlete used to come and jam it down. You'll still have those highlights.
Yep.
And it'd be even better if we know that came off of a real play.
Yeah, if it came within the flow of the offense, if it came, like you said, off of a real play. Let me ask you this, and I've talked so many times on this program about ratings being down for the NBA, and my theory is this, and I'm not throwing shade at anybody, but I want you to think about this, and I want your thoughts. Does the NBA and its ratings miss the Splash Brothers?
They definitely miss the Splash Brothers. They miss Steph, Clay. Mm-hmm. You miss Zion for a huge portion of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So those injuries in themselves really cost, right?
Yeah.
Then LeBron being on the West Coast hurts you because his games come on late in the East Coast,
right,
where people are asleep already.
Mm-hmm.
You combine the fact that the Warriors, who have been your biggest draw for the past 5 years, are no longer a draw at all. LeBron being on the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
The rookie phenom who was supposed to, have New Orleans on the map was missing for most of the first half of the season. That's really going to hurt your ratings, right?
Yeah.
So now that Zion's back, Steph will be back. They say maybe 6 weeks to be reevaluated, but the Warriors, I think they're pretty much lost for this year.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have Zion coming back and the playoffs starting, where you have games coming on every night and a little earlier, I think that's when you'll start to see those ratings get back up.
Yeah.
And plus, football season officially ended yesterday.
Yep.
I think the NBA will be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. It was just so many factors that came in at the top of the season. Talking with Damian Adams of The Real Deal with Damian Adams on all things NBA. Man, it's so much to unpack right now. I haven't had you on in a long time. I had one of our mutual friends on, Courtney Harden, a few years ago to talk all things NBA All-Star Game, and we bust out the old school All-Star Game talk and how it was competitive. and I was on his show recently, and we talked the same thing. Is the NBA missing that competitiveness now than it was back in the 80s and the 90s?
I wouldn't say it's missing it per regular season games and postseason games. The All-Star game, definitely. Like, you're not going to see that competitiveness, but I do think that the players themselves are just as competitive as they were back then.
Yeah.
The game has changed.
True.
So now that competitiveness just comes out in a different way. So in the 90s, when people were competitive and you saw people get frustrated with Jordan, that's when you saw Bill Laimbeer come and hit Jordan. Those those things aren't going to happen now. Yeah.
That's when you saw the rise of the bad boys, and on top of that, that's when you saw the Bulls answer them.
Exactly. Yeah. So, like, it was a different way to, channel your competitiveness back then than it is now. But now you have it to where it's so much more free flowing. I believe the game today is more attractive than it was then.
Yeah.
When you think about the way that the game is so spread out and how you get so many great plays and you get to see these athletes on offense do what they do. And defensively, I believe it's harder to play today than it was back then because you're not allowed to touch up the players like you were back then. There's no hand checking. People forget about hand checking. Like that, it makes your job so much easier when you can just have your hand on the player, holding them pretty much as they're trying to make their move as you guard them.
No hand checking.
You have to move your feet.
No
you
arm
have to
bars.
move your feet.
No arm bars. You can't do that either.
Exactly. That's gone.
Don't get me started on screens. Don't get me started on fundamental screens, man.
Yeah, no, that's a big thing. That's one of the things that I used to hate watching the Warriors as they're going through their success. You see Draymond Green get away with illegal screens all day. But it's something.
Draymond Green in modern times was Bill Laimbeer and James Edwards back in the 80s and 90s, all right, for the bad boy Pistons. Let's just be
That's
real.
One thing I'll say about Draymond. Draymond's one of those players that was built for back then. Like, if he was playing back then, he'll fit right in.
Absolutely.
So it's something that, like, the style has changed, but I think the competitiveness of the players is still there. They're just smarter about the way they go about it. I'm not a big fan of the load management, but I get it. When you have a player who may have a sore knee or tendonitis, like a Kawhi Leonard, you may be smarter to manage it, but some players are just built different. Like LeBron can play in any era, right?
Yes.
Because the way he's built, he could, plow through anybody. He could plow through the 80s, because he's built for that. So I think we should appreciate the 80s and 90s for what it was, and we still could appreciate today for the wide open spread game that we have and the entertainment we get today.
I'll give you a couple dream matchups I would love to have seen across eras. Start with the guard position. Wouldn't you love to see a couple of games when AI would go up against Stephen Curry?
It'd be amazing. Neither one of them could stop each other. But it'd be amazing to watch. It would
be so amazing. Yeah. The dribbling sensation of AI, the dribbling of Stephen Curry, clear the floor and let them go at it, man.
Yeah, exactly. And we only got a taste of it. We got very young Steph against older AI. So we didn't get to see them in their prime against each other. I wish we could have got to see that because you think about AI and him being so dominant in the mid-range and being able to drive to the goal at his size, being maybe the best pound-for-pound player of all time. Then with Steph, no matter what era you play in, you can't stop a guy who's shooting from 6 feet behind the line. Like, it doesn't matter what era you're in, how rough you try to be. If he's pulling up from 6 feet behind the line, it doesn't matter. So I don't think either they couldn't stop each other.
I mean, how many times I get the Warriors Network, they're on KNBR or 95.7 The Game, I beg your pardon. How many times have we heard Tim Roy or Bob Fitzgerald on NBC Sports Bay Area go, he's shooting from the logo? And you're thinking, what?
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Steph, Dame has become logo Lillard.
Oh, man. So Damian has really grown. I love watching Damian Lillard play. Love watching him play.
Yeah, no, he's amazing.
I mean,
he's amazing.
We got Damian and Steph last year in the West Finals. I just wish it had gone longer than 4 games, but when you're playing the two-time Warriors, and they weren't even at full strength. So that tells you, A, how far Portland has advanced, and B, how tough the Warriors were. I'll give you a dream matchup. How about an ultimate three-point contest? Let's do this. An ultimate three-point contest. You got to have Ray Allen. You got to have Steph. You got to have Clay. You got to throw Larry Bird in the picture.
Definitely.
You got to throw Reggie Miller in the picture.
Yep.
Right?
No, you definitely got to have those five.
Mm-hmm.
If you throw in a sixth for ultimate three-point contest,
who would be
think
that?
About, like, there's so many great shooters.
Yeah, there is. There is. Who would be that?
So many great.
Who would be that sixth
I'm thinking
person?
Glenn Wright.
Yeah, that's six. We gotta have eight.
Yeah,
we gotta have eight. We got Steph. We got Steph. We got Clay, Bird, Reggie Miller, Glenn Rice, Ray Allen.
Yeah.
We got six, and you gotta have seven. We gotta have 7 and 8. We gotta have 7 and 8 because back in the day you had 8 competitors.
Yeah, no, definitely. So if you're gonna go old school with 8 competitors, for Craig Hodges.
Yes, thank you, Craig Hodges. And you know what?
Because he was amazing.
I know who the 8th person is. Steve Kerr.
Yeah. Now, Steve Kerr is definitely, I think he still holds the record for the most accurate three-point shooter of all time.
Yeah.
So, got to have him in there as well.
Got to have Steve Kerr. Now, how about the ultimate slam dunk contest?
Well, you got to have Vince Carter.
You got to have Vinsanity. Got to have MJ.
Yeah. Got MJ. Kobe. Dominique
Wilkins. Kobe gets a vote.
Yeah, I'll throw Kobe in there as well.
Kobe gets a vote.
I would go a little new school and take Zach LaVine.
Yeah,
like Zach LaVine's nasty.
Zach LaVine.
Yeah.
You want to stay new school? Here's another new schooler I'd add. You'd have to be a few years back. Andre Iguodala.
Andre Iguodala was nasty. He was good in the contest. He was pretty good. He's somebody who gets forgotten about because of Nate Robinson. But Andre Iguodala was nasty. Yeah, he was nasty in the contest.
Yep.
Someone else who was nasty. He's not so new school anymore. He retired a few years ago. But Jason Richardson.
Mm-hmm. Jason Richardson.
Very good in the dunk contest.
Julius Erving.
Yeah, his battles with Desmond Nixon was great.
Julius Erving.
You gotta have Dr. J. He's
gotta have Dr. J.
Yeah.
And the one who won it in '84 to start the new trend, Larry Nance. He was the first to have a 2-ball dunk. You gotta have Larry Nance.
Yeah. Yeah. Now Larry Nance definitely his athleticism at that size was just crazy. For him to be doing those things.
Man.
And at that time too. Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, that was crazy. But like I said, we got to have Dr. J in there because he dunked from the foul line in 1976, and then Jordan did it in '85 in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the 2-ball competition involving the best pairs, and you know where I'm going to start. You know where I'm going to start first. I got to go to my hometown and get MJ and Scotty to start with.
Yeah.
Gotta have
MJ, Scotty.
Gotta have MJ and Scotty.
Yeah. Definitely. Shaq and Kobe. Gotta have. One that doesn't have any championships but definitely should be up there is Gary Payton and Sean Kemp.
Yeah. Oh, I got a pair for you.
That alley-oop combo was great.
Yes. I got a pair for you. KJ and Charles Barkley. There's a pair.
Kevin Johnson might be the most underrated player of all time.
Thank you.
He was amazing.
We've spoken about KJ. And I posted online that KJ is one of the most underrated point guards to ever play. Which gives me this.
Definitely.
If we expand our ultimate three-point competition to 10 players, I got number 9 for you right now, and that's Mark Price from back in the day with the Cleveland Cavaliers. How about that?
Yeah. Mark Price was great, man. He's somebody who a lot of people sleep on him, but like when you see people split up pick and roll today, like that started with Mark Price.
It started with Mark Price. It absolutely started with Mark Price. So you got MJ, MJ and Scotty, Shaq and Kobe.
Yeah, Gary and Sean Kemp.
KJ and Charles. Stockton Malone. Got to have Stockton Malone.
Yeah, because that's the greatest duo to not win. Like you got to give them that.
Yeah.
Because you think about one is second all time in points, the other one is first all time in steals and assists.
Yep.
And that,
which leads to this Magic with anybody. James Worthy, Kareem, Byron Scott.
Yeah, that's the thing. You could pick the Lakers team. That team, you could pick a bunch of different duos.
You can pick anybody for that team.
Yeah, you just put Magic there, and you could just put anybody else there. Like those Showtime Lakers are amazing. Like Magic, Kareem, you definitely have to put up there though, as far as duos.
This one's for my wife. How about a couple of Indiana Pacers, Mark Jackson and Reggie Miller?
That's a good duo. That's really good.
You got to put
I think an underrated one for the 2000 finals was Jalen Rose and Reggie Miller. Yeah, those guys, because they were one of the few duos ever to both score 40 points in the game.
Yep.
People sleep on Jalen Rose and they think of him just as the analyst or the one who got dropped 81 on by Kobe, but he had a pretty good career. People sleep on that.
He did. He absolutely did. He absolutely did. Here you go. Speaking of Knicks, Charles Oakley and Patrick Ewing.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's probably the most physical duo that's going to be there. Definitely.
Or here's a physical duo: Larry Bird and Kevin McHale. Since we're talking about duos.
Yeah, no, that's a nasty one. You got the inside-out game.
Yep.
You got the man of 1,000 post move. Kevin McHale. When you speak of underrated players, Kevin McHale has to be up there as well.
Yes.
Just because of time, people have forgotten how good he was, and plus he was under the shadow of Larry Bird and Robert Parrish. Like, he's one of those guys, like, he could just go in the post and do work. He wasn't the most athletic.
You want underrated?
But he just does work.
I posted this, and you agreed with this name. Speaking of underrated, James Worthy.
Yeah, he gets lost because of Magic and Kareem. He's somebody who was definitely an awesome player in his day. So you definitely have to give him respect in that way.
Absolutely. You got to have. How about Tim Duncan and David Robinson? There's a pair.
Yeah, no, that definitely was that's a great duo. If you got Tim Duncan, you also have to put Tim Duncan, Tony Parker in there.
Pick and roll with Parker and Duncan, or Duncan and Parker, as was the case many times. Let's stay in Texas. Akeem Olajuwon and Ralph Sampson.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, that team definitely should have won some championships when he was younger. Of course, Akeem got his too when he got older, but when he was with Ralph Sampson, they definitely should have got one.
How about a current duo, or a duo that I wish was current? Luka Doncic and Dirk Nowitzki. Speaking of Mavericks.
Oh man, yeah. We could somehow put Dirk in the time machine. That would be awesome.
Yep.
I think Dirk and not Dirk, but I think Luka and Porzingis will be a great duo soon.
Yes.
I think those two will work together and become great. We got Stephen Clay. Got to put Stephen Clay in there.
Got to have the Splash Brothers.
Yeah, you have to put those two in there.
You just have to wonder what records they would set. How about let me go back to my hometown, Derrick Rose and Luol Deng, and how good they were.
That's a good one. Yeah, if Derrick Rose could have stayed healthy longer,
I know
that team could have been. That team definitely could have won championship with the defense they had. Running the offense with Derrick Rose.
And I said the only thing that stopped the Bulls in the Thibodeau era from winning titles was injuries, because they were beat up by the time 2013 got here. And I hated that. I hated that they were that worn out and they were that beat up. So we got to throw them in there. Rose and Luol Deng, Kobe and Pau Gasol.
Yeah, that's a good duo.
There's a combination.
That's a good duo. People forget how good Pau Gasol was in his prime. He's arguably a top 10 power forward all time. And people, because Kobe was so great, people sleep on that. But Pau Gasol, in his prime, man, he was really good.
Oh, how about this duo? Mike Bibby and Chris Webber.
That's a good one. That's a team that probably should have won a championship. 2002, that 2002 Sacramento Kings team is up there. When you talk about the greatest teams to not win, the 2002 Sacramento Kings team is definitely right there.
Yeah, one of the most epic Western Conference Finals we've ever seen. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Damian Lillard.
You got to put LeBron and Kobe.
You got to have LeBron and Kobe.
I mean, not LeBron and Kobe, but LeBron and Dwayne Wade. I meant.
There you go.
You got to put LeBron, Dwayne Wade.
LeBron and Flash. I just spoke their names.
About Damian and
Lillard. Thank you, Damian Lillard and C.J. McCollum. Or if you want to go back in the day for the Portland Trail Blazers, Clyde Drexler and Terry Porter.
That's a very good one. That's one that probably gets forgotten in history. That's a very good one.
It's a forgotten duel. The Portland Trailblazers in 1990, they were a forgotten West champion because everybody had their eyes on Phoenix after they upset the Lakers and took them out of the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely. No, that Portland team should have got one. They should have got a championship in that.
They should have got one. They should have got. Here you go, Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell. If you want to stay modern,
that's a duo that's pretty good for the years to come. you think about Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell's what, 23, 24, and Gobert's like 27.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you got a team. That's a pretty good duo for years to come.
Yeah, it is. It is. Damian Adams of The Real Deal with Damian Adams. Tell everybody where they can find you, my friend.
Oh, man, thank you again for having me on the show. I really do appreciate it. You can find me everywhere on social media at The Real Deal WDA. So that's The Real Deal, W as in whiskey, D as in Delta, A as in Alpha. The show, The Real Deal with Damian Adams, is available wherever you listen to podcasts. So if you listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Castbox, Google Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts, you can find The Real Deal with Damian Adams. It's real sports talk for the real sports fans. So I know if you listen to this show, you're a real sports fan, and you will enjoy my show as well.
I truly appreciate those words, my man. Please subscribe to The Real Deal with Damian Adams. I'm a subscriber. I recommend his podcast. I recommend his show. He just recommended mine. Man, thank you so much for coming on. I got to have you on again more often. We got to do this again.
Definitely. I got to have you on my show as well. We got to make this connection happen more often. Thank you again, sir.
You got it, my friend. Thank you very much. Yeah, Kyle Shanahan made a lot of mistakes, okay? He made some mistakes in the Super Bowl. But you can't turn your back on this young 49er ball club. They weren't even supposed to be in the Super Bowl. Hell, they weren't even supposed to be in the playoffs. Do you know how many pundits gave the 49ers only 8 wins? I saw a program on NFL Network where they predicted the 49ers record. You know, they said 3-13. They called the 49ers to have only 3 wins this year. As I mentioned, the most wins that I heard someone give the 49ers was 8. This guy right here, in front of this microphone, I knew the 49ers would have a wonderful season. I knew it. I was on Dorf on Sports before the season started, and I made the statement, if there's a team that can unseat the Rams in the West, it would be the 49ers, and they did. Take a look at the season and rewind for the San Francisco 49ers. They go to Tampa Bay. They didn't have a good game, but you know what? The defense stepped up, including a pick 6 from Richard Sherman. And the secondary is where I believe the secondary is where the 49ers are going to address some concerns in the NFL draft. I beg your pardon. They go to Tampa Bay, they win. They go to Cincinnati, they win. You kind of expect that. The game that, for me, sent the 49ers on their way was Week 3 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Why? How the hell do you turn the ball over 5 times and win? Garoppolo found Dante Pettis in the end zone to win the game, 24-20. They get a week off, and then the Monday night game against Cleveland, which put the 49ers on notice. And as a popular YouTuber described, they took the Browns and downgraded them to Factory of Sadness status. They won their first 8 games, so they matched the maximum number of wins that 90% of the pundits gave them. Hardly anyone expected the 49ers to start off 8-0. And they can beat you in so many ways. This is a 49er team that can beat you in so many ways. They can beat you defensively. They can beat you offensively. They can beat you running the football. They wanted to challenge and say, hey, Jimmy Garoppolo, can you win some games for us? He did. He absolutely did. Then came the game against Seattle that came down to the gun. And Seattle won that game and handed the 49ers their first loss of the season. Oh, man. I was up most of the night for that game. Just like I was up most of the night last night. I didn't go to bed until late. More on that later. Anyway, when you think about the season the 49ers had, they lose to Seattle, they win a couple of more, they go to they get to 11-1, they go to Baltimore, lose there, and another turning point for the 49ers was going to New Orleans, facing Drew Brees. And I'm going to invoke a little bit of Jim Rome here in this conversation. If you go to New Orleans and you see Drew Brees on the other side of the ledger, most teams think, we're going to get outscored. We're not going to risk ourselves. Jim Rome said it best. The 49ers basically had the wild card in their back pocket. You're going into the Superdome and playing the top team in the NFC after going to Baltimore and playing the top team in the AFC at the time. Hell with that. I'm saving the body. We got the wild card in the back pocket. We fulfilled our obligations. Let's just take it easy and then go home. Wrong answer. George Kittle made the play of the year when Garoppolo hit him on a 4th and 2, and then Kittle did the rest. Turned it into a 39-yard gain. 39-yard gain with 3 Saints hanging on him on a 4th and 2. You understand that? A 4th and 2. And I'll tell you something. Were it not for 3 goofy calls by Kyle Shanahan, you got to put the blame where it's due, and the 49ers not executing on offense, they would have been undefeated going into the Super Bowl. The loss to Seattle, the 4th down gamble in Baltimore, and the kooky play against Atlanta. They played down to their competition. Let's be honest. Let's keep it 100% real. They played down to Atlanta, and Atlanta was having a horrible season. This is where the 49ers grow up. You go into the offseason and you think, hey, we weren't even supposed to get to the Super Bowl, let alone be 6 minutes away from winning the damn thing. This is where you take every lesson that you learned from this season and you take it in the next season, and then you roll over everybody. The 49ers are a young team, a very, very, very young team. That defensive front is dynamite. That defensive front and those linebackers are nothing to mess with. The secondary is going to need an upgrade, period. Sammy Watkins split us several times for big gains. Tyreek Hill split the defense for a 44-yard gain last night. The coverage was soft, and it can't be against a speed team like Kansas City. But I know the 49ers will address that. John Lynch will address that. Every need that the 49ers have will be addressed in this offseason. But you got to give credit where credit is due, man. You absolutely have to. How the hell are you going to sit there and blame Kyle Shanahan? Did Shanahan make his mistakes? Certainly. But I said since they started 8-0 that the 49ers are playing with house money. And they gathered all the house money they could until they got to Miami. The house money ran out. The big house money ran out. But they still got a little bit left to play with going into next year. And all you can do is build on this. I expect the 49ers next year to be in Tampa competing, making a third attempt at getting their 6th Super Bowl ring. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's against either the Patriots, the Chiefs, or the Indianapolis Colts. You heard it here first. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. The hell with it. I expect the San Francisco 49ers to be in Tampa next year competing for the Super Bowl. And you know something? I expect this program, as well as the others I run, to be there for said Super Bowl. That's my goal. And I got no shame in what the 49ers did this year. Their dominance in the playoffs until they play Kansas City in the Super Bowl. Not one but two 200-yard rushing games. They nearly got 200 last night. But the only problem is they went away from it at a time they should not have. But when you're hot, you're hot. You ride the hot hand, and Jimmy Garoppolo had a hot hand. So you ride it. Who told the 49ers to be 13-3? Who told the 49ers to run over Minnesota in the playoffs? Who told Dre Greenlaw to make the hit of the year against Jacob Hollister in Seattle? Another fantastic game, by the way. And stop him inches short of a touchdown. Oh, by the way, Jacob Hollister fumbled the ball, but no one wants to concede that. Who told Raheem Mostert to run for 220 and 4 touchdowns against the Packers? Who told Kyle Juszczyk to catch 2 touchdowns last night? Yeah, how do you like that? Or catch a touchdown last night, I beg your pardon. Yeah, how do you like that? If the 49ers are smart, and you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of the times the 49ers struggled to beat the Dallas Cowboys in the 90s. They lost to them at Candlestick Park in the 92 NFC Championship game when I said the Cowboys needed to play a perfect game, and damn it if they didn't. And then they go to Dallas, and they lost in Dallas. It took Seifert 3 times to get it right and come up with a plan to beat the Cowboys. I think next year the 49ers are going to get the deed done and figure out how to get that 6th Super Bowl title. In fact, I expect it. And I won't be disappointed if they come up short. It's just going to let me know how far this team can go. Great season, 49ers. Great season. Take a pause for a break, and when we come back, I had a conversation with William Morgan about Kobe Bryant and the old school NBA, which needs to come back. You'll hear that in its entirety. Back in a flash. Time for Transition Tuesday here on the program, and you know I can't do this by myself, so I got Russ Williams with me. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Happy to talk to you again, Snowman. There's another Tuesday, and that makes time for our Transition Tuesday segment. Love it.
Yes, indeed it is. You can catch him every Tuesday night for a full show of Transition Tuesday. I had the chance to be on it, and for the better part, bragged about my beautiful wife, who's also one of my executive producers of the program. So your subject this week had me salivating, because there's a phrase that says you can go from being the hunter to being the hunted. And when you threw this at me, I was licking my chops for this. Let's go. What you got for me?
Absolutely, Snowman. Well, there's some game plan steps, or as I like to coin the phrase, GPSs, that you have to take when you're transitioning to being the hunted. The first GPS is, and I'll start by this, Snowman. Snowman, are you a hip-hop fan at all?
I am.
All right. Now, I don't know if you remember, this group came out 25 years ago called the Wu-Tang Clan.
Oh, I remember them quite
and
well.
They had a pop. You remember them quite well? Well, they had a great song that gives us our first GPS. And that first GPS that they had, but the song that they had was called Protect Your Neck.
Yes.
So you have to protect your neck. That's right. You got to protect your neck when you're transitioning to being the hunted.
Absolutely.
And what I mean by that is you have to protect your neck at all times. You have to protect your neck at all times because when you're the hunted, people are coming for your neck. They're coming for you. And the great thing about that title, Protect Your Neck, there was a hip hop scholar who was part of the group, Raekwon the Chef.
Yes.
He had a great phrase and he said, half of us will try to make it, the other half will try to take it.
Yes.
So just like I'm saying here with the Protect Your Neck, it's very important because you earn the right to be hunted. People earn the right to be hunted through their hard work and dedication at their craft. So you have to protect your neck at all costs. So that is the first GPS when transitioning to be the hunted. Second GPS is you have to stay humble when you're being the hunted. What I mean by that is, Snowman, is you're going to wear a bullseye on your back. So you have to wear that bullseye on your back with humility and grace. But also on another hand, you have to really show people why you're the hunted now. And that's because due to your talent. So you really have to really stay humble. And, when you're going from being the hunter to the hunted.
What's so huge, and, you bring up two very good steps, protect your neck and use the humility. You would think, and stay humble, I beg your pardon. You would think they would be on opposite sides of the spectrum, and to the naked eye, they are on opposite sides of the spectrum. But at the same time, they are very much one and the same. And being the hunted, if I'm reading you as correctly as I think I am, transitioning from being the hunter to being the hunted, that involves a lot of confidence, too.
It does. It definitely does. Take, for example, the Chiefs. The Chiefs they won the Super Bowl, so they are now going to be the hunted team. So every opponent that they play next year, they're going to treat that game as like their Super Bowl. They're the hunted. Also, the 49ers, even though they lost the game, they too are going to be the hunted team.
They're the NFC champions. They're the NFC champions.
Absolutely.
They're the NFC West champions.
Yes,
and this is a team that came out of nowhere. And sometime back during the season, I likened the 49ers to the Golden State Warriors, coming out of nowhere, snatching a conference title, which no one expected them to get. So the Chiefs and the 49ers are the hunted. They are indeed the hunted.
Absolutely, yeah. They're the hunted. Those teams, they're the hunted. They're really going to, people are going to be going for that neck. You got to protect your neck.
Absolutely.
And the Chiefs and the 49ers, you have to protect your neck. I'm looking at the Iowa caucuses that just went down, recently. The Democratic nominees, the person there, whoever comes out of that caucus is now going to be the front runner. So they are going to be the hunted as well. So they too have to protect their necks as well.
Well, with whoever comes out of the Iowa caucuses, not only are they the hunted, they're also the hunter trying to succeed the incumbent that's in office right now.
Absolutely, yes. You make a great point there, Snowman. Absolutely. So you always got to protect your neck. And, we apply this sometimes to sports as we're doing now, politics or what have you, but this could be everyday use for people, people who are just, starting out in jobs, getting that job that they crave. Now they become the hunted. With everybody else trying to get their position in their spot. So I always recommend those two spots, those two GPSs. You got to protect your neck from the jump, and also you got to stay humble in your process too as well.
Which one of these two steps do you think is the toughest to maintain?
Well, in my case, I live life with humility. So, for me, in my case, probably protect your neck would be the toughest one for me. Because again, it's all about, that's just a mentality that you have to really absorb. Like really you have to be confident. When you're protecting your neck, when you're protecting your self-worth at all costs, you got to be really confident in doing that, you know. So in my case, I think protect your neck will be the toughest for me because I always try to live with humility all through my life. So, but protecting your neck will probably be the toughest one.
Well, for me, it's a combination of both because, and I go back, I mention my wife all the time on this program. Until I met her, I never knew how to put the entire picture together. And there are some days and there are some stretches of time where I still have difficulty putting the entire picture together. But learning about her and what she's gone through, it's becoming easier each day. It's a combination of both for me. Being the hunted, having the confidence in doing what I do in this program and the other programs that I put together, and also launching Snowman Digital Media, her having her confidence in what she's doing, you know, the confidence is there. You know, being the hunted is starting to become a reality, and in a good way, and I think I know you as well as I do to say this, in a good way, it also becomes a habit.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so like take you for example, Snowman, because you're climbing up the food chain in the podcast realm, right? So you're really doing that. So now you're going to you are becoming the hunted. You know, people are hearing more about the podcast, everything you do with the podcast. People are coming for that. So you too, Snowman, my man, have to protect your neck.
Yes.
You know that.
Yes, I do. And not just for me and not just for the fans that listen to the show, also for my family. You know, it's so big. It's so big. You know this very well. It's so big, and I'm glad you referenced that song and referenced that particular song, Protect Your Neck. Let me speak to the men about this, and we talk to the men all the time. You got to protect your neck, especially when it comes to your craft, when it comes to your home, and when it comes to your family.
Absolutely. Just like Raekwon the Chef said, half of us will try to make it,
the other half will try to take it.
Absolutely. Hey, Snowman, speaking of that Super Bowl and everything, what do you think about like the commercials of the Super Bowl? And more in particular, that Brady, the Tom Brady commercial, which I thought he was trolling people. In the case of, you know, what's he gonna do? And like for me, I'm just looking at that commercial, looking at Tom Brady. He is a guy who is going to be hunted as well because he's going to be coveted. He's going to be romanced by other teams if he decides to leave the Patriots. So I want to get your thoughts on that. What were your thoughts on that Tom Brady commercial, him trolling the world? That's what I thought he was doing.
You know what? He trolled the world, but he also, for me, answered a question. He's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. You know, that's how I think of it. He's been coming out of that tunnel for 20 years. And he's at the end of his contract right now, and the whole social media universe has gone upside down, you know, wondering where he's going to land next. And I've read some articles of where he could land. I mean, he's from California. He idolized Joe Montana for years. He's not going anywhere. He's staying right there in New England. This is Tom Brady we're talking about. Has he lost a step? Certainly. Has he lost a little zip on his arm? Certainly. But you really think he wants to move away from Bill Belichick and start a learning process all over again after what he's had for 20 seasons? I think not.
Well, you know, I look at it kind of a little differently there, Snowman, because I'm looking at it almost like a Kobe Bryant with Shaq sense.
Yeah.
You know, Kobe Bryant, he strived to, you know, get away from out of Shaq's shadow and prove to the world that he can win without Shaq. So I'm thinking these guys are two competitors, Belichick and Brady. And I can see Brady as a competitor, seeing if he can do it on his own, so that way he won't be, you know, left with the stigma of those two winning championships. I think he might be up to the challenge to do that. But again, you know, it's all speculative. You know, we don't really know. But I can see him. I can see him trying to do it, though. I can definitely see him trying to do it and go elsewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll just have to see what happens. We will just have to see what happens.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting to see how that process plays out. Speaking of process, that's the end of this one. This is Transition Tuesday with Russ Williams. Tell everybody where they can find you, my friend.
Absolutely. On Twitter, you can find me at All Will Transition. On Instagram, you can find me at All Will Transitions with an S. And please, your audience out there, please email me at allworldtransitions@gmail.com. Again, I'm available for transitional services in terms of individual instructions and sessions that I provide, and also I'm also for speaking engagements as well. So just hit me there at allworldtransitions@gmail.com. Would love to talk to you guys, and make sure everybody protects your neck out there.
That's our Transition Tuesday, going from being the hunter to being the hunted. And you'd like to be the hunted because it lets you know you're one of the best at your craft. Thanks a lot, my friend. Appreciate the time.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you.
All right, folks, we continue on with the program, and I want to welcome back to the show a young man I had on a long time ago. Too damn long. He has been tearing it up in the podcast ranks, and I mean that with all the love in the world. I want y'all to listen for this name as he continues to climb the podcast ranks, the radio show ranks, and I tell you what, I'm so happy to have him back on my show to talk a little hoops with me. He is the host of The Real Deal with Damian Adams, and Damian Adams has joined me. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, man. Like you said, it's been way too long, but I'm super happy to be back on the show with you.
Oh man, I am excited to have you with me. So let's talk. Let's talk NBA, because it's one of our specialties, and you and I we're playful with each other on the internet when we go back and forth on social media. But first of all, let me get your thoughts on one Kobe Bean Bryant.
Man, just such a tragic tragedy. When you think about the fact that we lost 9 people way too soon.
Mm-hmm.
And, the thoughts go through your mind of, should they have ever gotten on a helicopter? When you hear about how foggy it was, should they have, we know that it was a way of life for Kobe to take a helicopter because it just made things easier for him.
Yeah.
When it comes to traffic and just being able to move around with somebody who's that famous, not, being on the streets, everybody and things like that. So we get it that was something he did normally, like we do with our cars every day.
Mm-hmm.
But you just wonder if that's the day they should have changed up the routine because of the weather, and could they have changed things? But you can't go back, and so now you just have to take time to not only remember Kobe, but remember Gigi and remember all the victims on this, on that flight. With Kobe, when you think about Kobe, he definitely made a great impact on the world.
Yes,
and if there's one silver lining to this tragedy, is the fact that you see how many people he affected in such a major way.
And LeBron's speech this past Friday night, I'm sorry to interrupt you. The LeBron speech this past Friday night had me crying, okay? Especially when he spoke from the heart. I absolutely adored that.
Yeah, definitely. It was the tribute as a whole just was so touching. And it was understandable afterwards how it was kind of a weird feeling because you're watching the game and in the arena you could hear a silence.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was some cheering here, some cheering there, but it was an eerie silence. Like people didn't know how to react.
Yeah.
They didn't know, is it okay to move on now? And the thing is, it's okay to move on. You know that you never forget. We're going to have moments where things are going to remind us of Kobe. There's going to be moments where someone does something special where only, Kobe and Michael or LeBron did it. And we're going to remember Kobe again. So we're never going to forget Kobe Bryant. We're never going to forget Gigi. We're not going to forget those other victims on that flight. And that's what the main thing is, to make sure that we keep them in our hearts. And for Kobe, man, when you think of Kobe, for me, I just think of the Mamba mentality. I think of someone who, as he put it, was a talented overachiever. He had the God-given gifts of being 6'6", 6'7", with, great athleticism, but worked as if he was someone like a Matthew Dellavedova. He had that type of work ethic if he was somebody who was, scratching and gnawing to stay in the league. So that's how I remember Kobe, as someone who had the talent of, a Tracy McGrady and Vince Carter and all those guys who worked as if he was the 12th man on the roster.
Yeah, and you'd see it in all of the legends. You see it in all of the guys that shaped this league and made this league what it is now. The international stars, the national stars, all coming together, all offering their thoughts and their prayers for the Bryant family, for the other families, including the Altobelli family that lost their life on that helicopter. And I've said many times on this program, and I know you've heard it, it not only hurts me as a fan, but it particularly hurts me as a parent.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. I don't have kids yet, but the first thing, like when it happened, the first person who contacted me was my dad, right? And he, just wanted to say I love you, because you never know when those moments will be lost, to be able to say I love you to the next person. We've all lost somebody close to us in not such a horrific way as this, but we've all experienced some type of loss. And this just puts into perspective how life as it's the longest thing you'll do, but it's also something that can end very quickly. So you just have to take every moment and cherish it.
Yeah. Yeah, I say I love you to my wife and my children all the time. You know the story of my baby girl, Donna. I lost her when she was 2. 2015, I lost my dad in 2007. So, yeah, from both ways, it affected me as a fan, as a parent, and as a son. And as you said best, my friend, you have to live your life to the fullest. That's what Kobe did. That's what I'm trying to do. I know that's what you're trying to do, and a fabulous show in the process of doing it. Let's talk some NBA, man. They made some changes to the All-Star game in terms of the scoring, and I don't know if you had a chance to take a look at the changes, but I have. And considering it's in my hometown of Chicago, the All-Star game is, and I know they're doing this to honor Kobe. And rightfully so. But I got to be honest with you, man. I took a look at the rules and I went, what the hell are these?
Yeah, I got a chance to look at the rules. I posted it in the group, The Real Deal with Damian Adams group.
Yes.
From the 3-point conversion. They posted the rules, and I shared it from their page. And yeah, I had the same reaction you did. I was looking over and I was trying to understand exactly what they were trying to do.
You and I have talked sports a long time. You know that look on my face. I saw the rule and I looked at that link that you posted. And folks, check out the 3-point conversion as well. Another fabulous group of sports journalists. What the hell are these rules, man? What the hell are they trying to do?
The only thing I can say that they're trying to do is maybe this is their way of trying to amp up the competition through all 4 quarters.
Yeah.
Because we know normally with the All-Star game, what you get is you'll get the first 2 quarters and a half where they're just kind of jogging back and forth. You'll get some alley-oops. You'll get some long-distance threes. And then the competition doesn't really go up until the 4th quarter if it's close. And that's when you'll start to get real competition.
And that's a big if. It hasn't been close for a while, but that's a big if.
So with these rules, what they're trying to say is, okay, we're going to have each quarter count as a win or a loss, and maybe that will ramp up the competition. But to me, if you want to honor Kobe, it's up to the players.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can do all the things from the outside perspective, like them wearing 24 and wearing 2 to honor Kobe and Gigi. That's awesome. But if they want to honor Kobe as far as the play on the court itself, they have to just go out and leave it all on the floor. There's a reason Kobe had 4 All-Star MVPs is because he went out there and really played. So those guys, like there's certain players who do play, like Giannis. Like some people say Giannis plays too hard in the All-Star game. That's something that Kobe would love. So you have him, LeBron plays hard. Those guys are going to bring it, and I think that's the normal way you should honor them.
Kobe, MJ, LeBron, Julius Erving back in the day for me when I got started watching, Magic Johnson. You want to honor Kobe? Play that way.
Yeah. Nah, I definitely agree with that. Like, if they just went out there and said, okay, we're going to play for real, that's the thing. You're still going to get the highlights because of the best players in the world. So you're going to have moments where you get a steal, you get a fast break, and you'll still get to have those moments where you throw the ball at the backboard and some crazy athlete gets to come and jam it down. You'll still have those highlights. Yep. And it'll be even better if we know that came off of a real play.
Yeah, if it came within the flow of the offense, if it came, like you said, off of a real play. Let me ask you this, and I've talked so many times on this program about ratings being down for the NBA, and my theory is this, and I'm not throwing shade at anybody, but I want you to think about this, and I want your thoughts. Does the NBA and its ratings miss the Splash Brothers?
They definitely miss the Splash Brothers. They miss Steph, Clay. You miss Zion for a huge portion of the year. So those injuries in themselves really cost, right? Yeah. Then LeBron being on the West Coast hurts you because his games come on late in the East Coast, right, where people are asleep already. You combine the fact that the Warriors, who have been your biggest draw for the past 5 years, are no longer a draw at all. LeBron being on the West Coast. The rookie phenom who was supposed to, have New Orleans on the map was missing for most of the first half of the season. That's really going to hurt your ratings, right? Yeah. So now that Zion's back, Steph will be back. They say maybe 6 weeks to be reevaluated, but the Warriors, I think they're pretty much lost for this year. So when you have Zion coming back, in the playoffs starting, where you have games coming on every night and a little earlier, I think that's when you'll start to see those ratings get back up. Yeah. And plus, football season officially ended yesterday. Yep. I think the NBA will be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so, too. It was just so many factors that came in at the top of the season. Talking with Damian Adams of The Real Deal with Damian Adams on all things NBA. Man, it's so much to unpack right now. I haven't had you on in a long time. I had one of our mutual friends on, Courtney Harden, a few years ago to talk all things NBA All-Star Game, and we bust out the old school All-Star Game talk and how it was competitive. And I was on his show recently, and we talked the same thing. Is the NBA missing that competitiveness now than it was back in the 80s and the 90s?
I wouldn't say it's missing it per regular season games and postseason games. The All-Star Game, definitely. You're not going to see that competitiveness, but I do think that the players themselves are just as competitive as they were back then. Yeah. The game has changed. True. So now that competitiveness just comes out in a different way. So in the 90s, when people were competitive and you saw people get frustrated with Jordan, that's when you saw Bill Laimbeer come and hit Jordan. Those things aren't going to happen now. Yeah.
That's when you saw the rise of the bad boys, and on top of that, that's when you saw the Bulls answer them.
Exactly, yeah. So, it was a different way to, channel your competitiveness back then than it is now. But now you have it to where it's so much more free-flowing. I believe the game today is more attractive than it was then. Yeah. When you think about the way that the game is so spread out and how you get so many great plays and you get to see these athletes on offense do what they do. And defensively, I believe it's harder to play today than it was back then because you're not allowed to touch up the players like you were back then. There's no hand checking. People forget about hand checking. That. It makes your job so much easier when you can just have your hand on the player, holding them pretty much as they're trying to make their move as you guard them.
No hand checking.
You have to move your feet.
No arm
you have to
bars.
Move your feet.
No arm bars. You can't do that either.
Exactly. That's gone.
Don't get me started on screens. Don't get me started on fundamental screens, man.
Yeah, no, that's a big thing. That's one of the things that I used to hate watching the Warriors as they're going through their success. You know, you see Draymond Green get away with illegal screens all day. But it's something
Draymond Green in modern times was Bill Laimbeer and James Edwards back in the 80s and 90s, all right, for the Bad Boy Pistons. Let's just be
That's
real.
One thing I'll say about Draymond. Draymond's one of those players that was built for back then. Like,
yes.
if he was playing back then, he'll fit right in.
Absolutely.
So it's something that, like, the style has changed, but I think the competitiveness of the players is still there. They're just smarter about the way they go about it. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of the load management, but I get it. Mm-hmm. You know, when you have a player who may have a sore knee or tendonitis, like a Kawhi Leonard, you may be smarter to manage it, you know, but some players are just built different. Like LeBron could play in any era, right? Yes. Because the way he's built, he could, you know, plow through anybody. He could plow through the 80s, you know, because he's built for that. So I think we should appreciate the 80s and 90s for what it was, and we still could appreciate today for the wide open spread game that we have and the entertainment we get today.
I'll give you a couple of dream matchups I would love to have seen across eras. Start with the guard position. Wouldn't you love to see a couple of games when AI would go up against Stephen Curry?
It'd be amazing. Neither one of them could stop each other. But it'd be amazing to watch. It
would be so amazing. Yeah. The dribbling sensation of AI, the dribbling of Stephen Curry, clear the floor and let them go at it, man.
Yeah, exactly. And we only got a taste of it. We got very young Steph against older AI. So we didn't get to see them in their prime against each other. I wish we could have got to see that, because you think about AI and him being so dominant in the mid-range and being able to drive to the goal at his size, you know, being maybe the best pound-for-pound player of all time. Then with Steph, no matter what era you play in, you can't stop a guy who's shooting from 6 feet behind the line. Like, it doesn't matter what era you're in, how rough you try to be. If he's pulling up from 6 feet behind the line, it doesn't matter. Really, so I don't think they couldn't stop each other.
I mean, how many times I get the Warriors Network, you know, they're on KNBR or 95.7 The Game, I beg your pardon. How many times have we heard Tim Roy or Bob Fitzgerald on NBC Sports Bay Area go, he's shooting from the logo? And you're thinking, what?
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Steph, you know, Dame has become logo Lillard.
Oh, man. So Damian has really grown. I love watching Damian Lillard play. Love watching him play.
Yeah, no, he's amazing.
I mean,
he's amazing.
We got Damian and Steph last year in the West Finals. I just wish it had gone longer than 4 games. But when you're playing the two-time Warriors, and they weren't even at full strength, so that tells you, A, how far Portland has advanced, and B, how tough the Warriors were. I'll give you a dream matchup. How about an ultimate three-point contest? Let's do this. An ultimate three-point contest. You got to have Ray Allen. You got to have Steph. You got to have Clay. You got to throw Larry Bird in the picture.
Definitely.
You got to throw Reggie Miller in the picture.
Yep.
Right?
No, you definitely got to have those 5. If you throw in a 6th for ultimate three-point contest,
who would be
think about, like, there's so many great shooters.
Yeah, there is. There is. Who would be that?
So many great.
Who would be that 6th
I'm thinking Glenn Wright.
Yeah, that's 6. We gotta have 8.
Yeah,
we gotta have 8. We got Steph. We got Steph. We got Clay, Bird, Reggie Miller, Glenn Rice, Ray Allen.
Yeah,
we got 6, and you gotta have 7. We gotta have 7 and 8. We gotta have 7 and 8 because back in the day you had 8 competitors.
Yeah, no, definitely. So if you're going to go old school with 8 competitors for Craig Hodges.
Yes, thank you, Craig Hodges. And you know what?
Yes, because he was amazing.
I know who the 8th person is. Steve Kerr.
Yeah. Now, Steve Kerr is definitely, I think he still holds the record for his most accurate three-point shooter of all time.
Yeah.
So got to have him in there as well.
Got to have Steve Kerr. Now, how about the ultimate slam dunk contest?
Well, you got to have Vince Carter.
You got to have Vinsanity. Got to have MJ.
Got MJ, Kobe. Dominique Wilkins.
Dominique Wilkins. Kobe gets a vote.
Yeah, I'll throw Kobe in there as well.
Kobe gets a vote.
I would go a little new school and take Zach LaVine.
Yeah,
like Zach LaVine's nasty.
Zach LaVine.
Yeah.
You want to stay new school? Here's another new schooler I'd add. You'd have to be a few years back. Andre Iguodala.
Andre Iguodala was nasty. He was good in the contest. He was pretty good. He's somebody who gets forgotten about because of Nate Robinson. But
right.
Andre Iguodala was nasty. Yeah, he was nasty in the contest.
Yep.
Someone else who was nasty. He's not so new school anymore. He retired a few years ago. But Jason Richardson.
Jason Richardson.
Very good in the contest too.
Julius Erving.
Yeah, his battles with Desmond Mason were great.
Julius Erving.
You gotta have Dr. J. He's the
gotta have Dr. J.
Yeah.
And the one who won it in '84 to start the new trend, Larry Nance. He was the first to have a 2-ball dunk. You gotta have Larry Nance in there.
Yeah. Now Larry Nance definitely his athleticism at that size was just crazy. We're gonna be doing those things.
Man.
And at that time too, that was crazy.
Yeah, that was crazy. But like I said, we got to have Dr. J in there because he dunked from the foul line in 1976, and then Jordan did it in '85 in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the 2-ball competition involving the best pairs, and you know where I'm going to start. You know where I'm going to start first. I got to go to my hometown and get MJ and Scotty to start with.
Yeah.
Gotta have
MJ, Scotty.
Gotta have MJ and Scotty.
Yeah. Definitely. Shaq and Kobe. Gotta have. One that doesn't have any championships, but definitely should be up there is Gary Payton and Sean Kemp.
Yeah. Oh, I got a pair for you.
That alley-oop combo was great.
Yes. I got a pair for you. KJ and Charles Barkley. There's a pair.
Kevin Johnson might be the most underrated player of all time.
Thank you.
He was amazing.
We've spoken about KJ. And I posted online that KJ is one of the most underrated point guards to ever play, which gives me this.
Definitely.
If we expand our ultimate three-point competition to 10 players, I got number 9 for you right now, and that's Mark Price from back in the day with the Cleveland Cavaliers. How about that?
Yeah. Mark Price was great, man. He's somebody who a lot of people sleep on him, but when you see people split up pick and roll today, like that started with Mark Price.
It started with Mark Price. It absolutely started with Mark Price. So you got MJ, MJ and Scotty, Shaq and Kobe.
Yeah, Gary and Sean Kemp.
KJ and Charles.
Stockton Malone.
Gotta have Stockton Malone.
Yeah, because that's the greatest duo to not win. Like you got to give them that.
Yeah.
Because you think about one is second all time in points, the other one is first all time in steals and assists.
Yep. Which leads to this magic with anybody: James Worthy, Kareem, Byron Scott.
Yeah, that's the thing. You could pick the Lakers team. That team, you could pick a bunch of different duos.
You can pick anybody for that team.
You just put Magic there, and you could just put anybody else there. Like those Showtime Lakers are amazing. Like Magic Kareem, you definitely have to put up there though, as far as duos. This one's for my wife. How about a couple of Indiana Pacers, Mark Jackson and Reggie Miller? That's a good duo. That's really good.
You got to put them
I think an underrated one for the 2000 finals was Jalen Rose and Reggie Miller. Yeah, those guys, because they were one of the few duos ever to both score 40 points in the game.
Yep.
People sleep on Jalen Rose and they think of him just as the analyst or the one who got dropped 81 on by Kobe, but he had a pretty good career. People sleep on that.
He did. He absolutely did. He absolutely did. Here you go. Speaking of Knicks, Charles Oakley and Patrick Ewing.
Yeah, definitely. That's probably the most physical duo that's going to be there. Definitely.
Or here's a physical duo: Larry Bird and Kevin McHale. Since we're talking about duos.
Yeah, that's a nasty one. You got the inside-out game.
Yep.
You got the man of 1,000 post move. Kevin McHale. When you speak of underrated players, Kevin McHale has to be up there as well.
Yes.
Just because of time, people have forgotten how good he was, and plus he was under the shadow of Larry Bird and Robert Parrish. Like he's one of those guys. Like he could just go in the post and do work. He wasn't the most athletic.
You want underrated?
But he just does work.
I posted this, and you agreed with this name. Speaking of underrated, James Worthy.
Yeah. Yeah, he gets lost because of Magic and Kareem.
Mm-hmm.
He's somebody who was definitely an awesome player in his day. So you definitely have to give him respect in that way.
Absolutely. You got to have. How about Tim Duncan and David Robinson? There's a pair.
Yeah, no, that definitely was that's a great duo. If you got Tim Duncan, you also have to put Tim Duncan, Tony Parker in there.
Mm-hmm. Pick and roll with Parker and Duncan, or Duncan and Parker, as was the case many times. Let's stay in Texas. Akeem Olajuwon and Ralph Sampson.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, that team definitely should have won some championships when he was younger. Of course, Akeem got his two when he got older, but when he was with Ralph Sampson, they definitely should have got one.
How about a current duo, or a duo that I wish was current? Luka Doncic and Dirk Nowitzki. Speaking of Mavericks.
Oh man, yeah. We could somehow put Dirk in the time machine. That would be awesome.
Yep.
I think Dirk and not Dirk, but I think Luka and Porzingis will be a great duo soon.
Yes.
I think those two will work together and become great.
Mm-hmm.
We got Stephen Clay. Got to put Stephen Clay in there.
Got to have the Splash Brothers.
Yeah,
you have to.
Got to put those two in there.
You just have to wonder what records they would set. How about let me go back to my hometown, Derrick Rose and Luol Deng, and how good they were.
That's a good one. Yeah, if Derrick Rose could have stayed healthy longer,
I know
that team could have been. That team definitely could have won championship with the defense they had. Run the offense with Derrick Rose.
And I said the only thing that stopped the Bulls in the Thibodeau era from winning titles was injuries, because they were beat up by the time 2013 got here. And I hated that. I hated that they were that. They were that worn out and they were that beat up. So we got to throw them in there. Rose and Luol Deng, Kobe and Pau Gasol.
Yeah, that's a good duo.
There's a combination.
That's a good duo. People forget how good Pau Gasol was in his prime.
Mm-hmm.
He's arguably a top 10 power forward all time. And people, because Kobe was so great, people sleep on that. But Pau Gasol, in his prime, man, he was really good.
Oh, how about this duo? Mike Bibby and Chris Webber.
That's a good one. That's a team that probably should have won a championship. 2002, that 2002 Sacramento Kings team is up there. When you talk about the greatest teams to not win,
Kings,
the 2002 Sacramento Kings team is definitely right there.
Yeah. One of the most epic Western Conference Finals we've ever seen. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Damian Lillard.
You got to put LeBron and Kobe.
You got to have LeBron and Kobe.
I mean, not LeBron and Kobe, but LeBron and Dwayne Wade. I meant.
There you go.
You got to put LeBron and Dwayne Wade.
LeBron and Flash. I just spoke their names.
Talking about Damian and
Lillard.
CJ?
Thank you. Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum. Or if you want to go back in the day for the Portland Trailblazers, Clyde Drexler and Terry Porter.
That's a very good one. That's one that probably gets forgotten in history. That's a very good one.
It's a forgotten duo. The Portland Trailblazers in 1990, they were a forgotten West champion because everybody had their eyes on Phoenix after they upset the Lakers and took them out of the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely. No, that Portland team should have got one. They should have got a championship in there.
They should have got one. They should have got. Here you go, Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell. If you want to stay modern,
that's a duo that's pretty good for the years to come. you think about Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell's what, 23, 24, and Gobert's like 27.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you got a team. That's a pretty good duo for years to come.
Yeah, it is. It is. Damian Adams of The Real Deal with Damian Adams. Tell everybody where they can find you, my friend.
Oh man, thank you again for having me on the show. I really do appreciate it. You can find me everywhere on social media at The Real Deal WDA. So that's The Real Deal, W as in whiskey, D as in Delta, A as in Alpha. The show, The Real Deal with Damian Adams, is available wherever you listen to podcasts. So if you listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Castbox, Google Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts, you can find The Real Deal with Damian Adams. It's real sports talk for real sports fans. So I know if you listen to this show, you're a real sports fan, and you will enjoy my show as well.
I truly appreciate those words, my man. Please subscribe to The Real Deal with Damian Adams. I'm a subscriber. I recommend his podcast. I recommend his show. He just recommended mine. Man, thank you so much for coming on. I got to have you on again more often. We got to do this again.
Definitely. I got to have you on my show as well. We got to make this connection happen more often. Thank you again, sir.
You got it, my friend. Thank you very much. Well, that's going to put a bow on this one. My thanks to Damian Adams, to Steve Willis, Courtney Harden, Cole Johnson, and to you, the fans, that tune in to this show on a daily basis. Don't forget, the Daily BS comes your way later on in the day on RTF, on the RTF Sports Network and all of its radio affiliates, as well as full press coverage, as well as Arena Sportsnet and all of our other affiliated stations. Thank you for tuning in. The Wacky Wednesday show comes your way tomorrow. Until then, have a great day. God bless. Remember to make your next move your best move. And always remember, if your dreams don't scare you, then they are not big enough. Dream big, do bigger. I am, and I hope you all are too. Till tomorrow, Snowman out.
The proceeding has been a presentation of Snowman Digital Media. Copyright 2020, all rights reserved. For more information, log on to snowmandigitalmedia.com.